Hello, my friends. Welcome. Welcome to this Give Me a Word book lunch. We'll get started here in just a moment. It's wonderful to be with you. Taking a little peek out of my sabbatical cave to help celebrate this book. So it's wonderful, wonderful to see you. But a number of people are still coming in, so we'll just give it a minute. And if you want to put in the chat where you're joining us from, that would be lovely. Always very fun to hear that, to see all the places. So, welcome, my friends. It's such a joy to be with you. I was telling Melinda, I haven't taught anything since June. So I was telling her, I think I can remember how to do this Zoom thing. So do bear with me if I forget the some of the practical details here. But wonderful to see all of your names coming through. You're very, very welcome. A delight to see many, many familiar names. And if you're new to Abbey of the Arts, also a very special welcome to you. We're just delighted to have you here for this hour where we are celebrating this book, Give Me a Word, The Promise of an Ancient Practice to Guide Your Year, my newest book. And I'm very grateful to Simon de Voil for being here with me to offer some music. He'll sing us a song here in just a minute. And just delighted to have Melinda, of course, here and John helping to support in the background. I'm Christine Valters Paintner. If you don't know me or if you're not familiar with the Abbey, and I'm the online abbess here at Abbey of the Arts, and I'm currently taking a little sabbatical from teaching until December, working on a whole lot of writing. So I not only have this book coming out, but I just finished writing a poetry collection and I just finished editing a collection of blessings. So there's been a lot of writing going on. So just really, really happy to have this chance to pause and to celebrate together, and just to be with you in your always warm, kind presence, because I find dancing monks are just the best, just the most wonderful, kind-hearted, attuned, present people here. So grateful for all of that. And just want to remind you that if you leave a comment in the chat, and as many of you already have, but leave a comment anytime during this live session, and Melinda will do a drawing at the end for one person will get a signed copy of the book mailed to them direct from Ireland, and another person will get um, a seat in our Advent online retreat, which is going to be a companion retreat for the Give Me a Word book. So I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. But I think now we're ready for a song. So I want to invite Simon up here to help us arrive a little bit.
It's exciting to be here for this celebration. I know that Christine pops out books like puppies, but each one is an absolute treasure, right? And I love celebrating the gift of your sacred wisdom that comes out in these books. We're going to center in song. If you were part of Friday's equinox retreat, you'll think this is familiar. It's a body prayer, so you might want to dance to this rather than just sing along. You can put your camera off if you're nervous. Hands open to the day. Breathe in, breathe out. Hands joined as if to pray. Breathe in, breathe out. arms reaching to the sky, then circling around down to the earth, eyes lifting to the light, to the light. Hands, branches catching rain, breathe in, breathe out, then rising like a stalk of grain. Breathe in, breathe out. Arms reaching to the sky, then circling around down to the earth, eyes lifting to the light, to the light. Hands open to the day, breathe in, breathe out. Hands joined as if to pray, breathe in, breathe out. Arms reaching to the sky, then circling around down to the earth, eyes lifting to the light, to the light. Hands, branches catching rain, breathe in, breathe out, then rising like a stalk of grain. Breathe in, breathe out. Arm reaching to the sky, then circling around down to the earth, eyes lifting to the light, to the light. Hands open to the day, breathe in, breathe out. We'll stay here. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Oh, beautiful prayer set to music by Peter Mayer.
Thank you so much, Simon. And thank you to those of you who joined in that prayer, and especially with the movement. Such a beautiful way to center. And I realize listening to Simon singing that how much I've missed our working together, Simon, in this kind of setting. So it's a great joy to be here with you. So I want to invite us, we're just going to take one more little step with our centering before I talk more about the book. And I'm going to invite you into a breath prayer. And a breath prayer is simply a prayer that we marry certain words to the in-breath and to the out-breath. And because this practice of give me a word is so much about surrendering and receiving and listening and attuning, that I'm going to invite us to allow just a few moments, a few breath cycles. And I'm going to invite you, as you inhale, to say the words quietly to yourself, I wait. And as you exhale, the words to receive. And as you do that, you might just notice, is there like a body posture, or is there like a physical sort of spark, in that sense of I wait. How does that feel in your body? And then to receive. And how does that feel in your body? And let your body respond to that if you feel so inspired. But let's take a couple of rounds, and then I'll let you just rest into that breath prayer on your own for a few breath cycles. So on the inhale, I wait. On the exhale, to receive. Inhale, I wait. Exhale, to receive. And just simply let yourself lean into that prayer for a few breath cycles. And then just letting that breath prayer go, just returning to your natural breath, and just taking a moment to notice, just noticing what might have been sparked in your heart or what you're noticing as you pray that prayer. Maybe it's resistance, maybe it's eagerness, maybe it's a combination of things. But just to be with whatever you are feeling, experiencing, and to welcome that in this place together. So there's a lovely paradox in the contemplative life, right? Where we don't we don't make the prayer happen. We don't make God show up for us. We don't strive and reach and make something happen. We don't reach and find this word, like pull it out of the ether. Instead, we have to wait to receive. But it's not just like a waiting, like we're waiting at the bus stop, impatiently, or a waiting maybe in the doctor's office. It's more of this attentive waiting, of this um, keeping our hearts open, keeping ourselves focused on what our desire is, to be in that connection with the divine. And it's in that tension between the active part of our own waiting and our own surrender that then something happens. Sometimes we don't feel anything happen, right? Some of us, I'm sure, have had times we've sat in prayer where it feels quite dull and dry and restless and distracted and all of those things. But sometimes when we are really just able to drop into that place of letting go and receiving, sometimes something comes that is bigger than anything that we can expect or ask for. So, this process, this practice, give me a word, which filled an entire book, is rooted in the stories of the desert mothers and fathers. And I'm going to share two of those here in just a moment. But the basically, this is our 20th year at Abbey of the Arts, which I'm very excited about. And back all the way back in 2009, 16 years ago, we had our first Give Me a Word sort of invitation, where I posted, on our website, listen, and I gave some guidelines for this. Listen for a word that could guide your year ahead, but don't try and actively reach for it or strive for it, but let something come to you. And, many, many people responded, and it was such a lovely sense of um, energy and connection around a practice that can be done at the new year. That's not about resolutions, but this practice can be done any time of year, anytime that you're on, I'd say, anytime you're on a threshold in your life of some kind where the old seems to have fallen away and you're waiting for something new. It's a perfect time to listen for this word that might come into your life. And let me just share with you two little stories from the desert elders. So I think most of you know that I have a great love of the desert mothers and fathers, and I wrote a book on the desert mothers and fathers many years ago, and it's their wisdom I keep going back to over and over again. And the desert elders are these Amas and Abbas. They came out to the desert in Egypt, Syria, Palestine, back in the second and third to fourth centuries, and were known for these, men and women who really were escaping the Christianity of the cities, which was the kind of the Christianity in their eyes that was sort of putting on pretenses. And they were really going for this radical encounter, this radical intimacy with the divine. And so we have many stories from them. A lot of them are kind of like these Zen koans, meaning that they're stories that don't always they're not always as direct as you might want them to be. You have to sort of meditate into them or listen into them. But this phrase, give me a word, comes up a lot, like in this story. A brother questioned Abba Hirax, saying, give me a word. How can I be saved? The old man said to him, sit in your cell, and if you are hungry, eat. If you are thirsty, drink. Only do not speak evil of anyone, and you will be saved. Now, important thing, two things that I'm going to point out from this story. One is you'll notice that the word is actually a whole long phrase, right? So when we say give me a word, we're not necessarily looking for just a single word, although sometimes it will be just a single word, or sometimes this whole phrase might come to you in your own version of it, and you might be able to distill it down to a word. So just to keep in mind to be open to what the word might be and to know that it might be a phrase, it might be a line from a poem or a movie or a conversation that you had with someone. Um, and and then the other piece is really that, each one of us is given our own word unique to our circumstances. So people show up to this practice every year. We've been doing this together as a community for 16 years, and every year people have different words. Sometimes, for me, a couple times, I've had the same word come back to me after, a couple years. I realized there's still more for me there. But then there's this story. And it says, a monk once came to Basil of Caesarea and said, speak a word, Father. And Basil replied, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart. And the monk went away at once. 20 years later, he came back and said, Father, I have struggled to keep your word. Now speak another word to me. And he said, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And the monk returned in obedience to his cell to keep that also. And what I love about this story is that, um, a monk comes asking, give me a word, speak a word, and he's given the word and he goes away. He goes away for 20 years to practice this. I've struggled over these 20 years to keep this word, but I think I'm finally at the point where I can say I'm ready for another word. And that's when he's given, the next part of that teaching, which comes from scripture. And so I think to be patient with ourselves, that sometimes the word that we receive takes a long time to really integrate, to challenge us to break open parts of ourselves. And this idea of receiving a word, again, is not about us making something happen. It's not about us um, trying to figure out what exactly the word is we need to best optimize the next, part of our journey. Again, it's this journey of moving into this place of vulnerability, the threshold. I see many of you saying, I'm on a threshold too. Yes, yes. That threshold space is very vulnerable, very tender. And it's an act of showing up in the midst of that vulnerability, of the midst of the not knowing. It's exactly the space of not knowing that calls in that wisdom, right? That we are seeking. And the word that comes may not be the word we were expecting, right? We might have already had some sense of what that word would be. We thought maybe it would be in this family of words, and suddenly something comes to us in a surprising way, and we are challenged. So the word is meant to challenge us, to surprise us, to be something that we could, chew on for 20 years, perhaps, right? Um, and just to like that sense of allowing ourselves to be broken open, to wait, attend, attune, yeah, breathe. I love wait to receive rather than give me patience. Yeah. So that breath prayer can be a companion to you as you are listening in your daily life. And the word can come through any number of different ways or modes or people or animals or creation or scripture or poetry or film, or, there's to be, I think, to be open to receive from the world, from our lives, from the ordinariness of our lives, to trust that our whole lives are a sacred scripture from which we might receive a gift at any given moment, and to really be open and attuned to that. I'm going to share with you just the outline of the book because I think it'll give you a sense. There's 3 parts to it. So it's basically designed, if you want to do this as a self-guided retreat, you can do it over 30 days, and there's a practice for each day, with the caveat that if you um, get to the end of the first 10 days of listening for a word and your word hasn't arrived yet, you don't have to move on to the next section. You can stay with these practices. You can stay and keep circling back. And so part 1 has different practices and meditations that I described: crossing the threshold, listening with your heart, which we're going to do here as a meditation in just a few moments. Um, Letting the word choose you, again, that sense of like waiting to receive, letting the word choose us as opposed to us choosing the word. Listening to your life, the landscape of your life, the texture of your life, reflecting on what's been life-giving and life-draining. That is inspired by the Examen prayer from St. Ignatius. Give me one wild word is a phrase that Terry Tempest Williams has in one of her books. Listening to dreams, listening to soul friends. And again, soul friends might be, a spiritual community, but it might be a spouse, it might be a companion animal, it might be an oak tree, it might be the ancestors. So to really expand out um, our possibilities, right? Because we can't necessarily consult the desert elders in this physical reality, but we can certainly reach out across to them, across that veil. Reading a set of wisdom principles and imagining your deathbed. So those are some of the practices that are in the first section. And then in the second part of the book is receiving the word. So this is about, I think the word has come to me, and but I want to kind of sit with it a little bit and test it. Sometimes the word comes and we're not quite sure, or maybe we are really sure, but it would help to have a little bit of time just to test it a little bit, allowing the word to ripen. So ripening is one of my favorite images. This idea of not plucking the fruit right before it's ready, right? Allowing the word to ripen, learning to trust in what you love. So this practice is very much about deepening into a trust into the divine spark in your own heart. Consulting the desert elders, so there's an explicit practice for that. Creating a pantoum, so there's a poetry exercise that you're invited into. There's several different art explorations. Taking a pilgrimage of memory involves photographs, attuning to your body's wisdom, listening to the elements, water, wind, earth, and fire. Embark on a photography pilgrimage, calling on the angel saints and ancestors, and bringing your word to a threshold place. So we come back to the threshold before we move to the third part, which is carrying the word with you. So this is about some practices that will help you help the word take root in you, and things that you can create to help you continue to deepen into the wisdom that the word might offer to you. Remember, the monk took 20 years to deepen into that wisdom. So sometimes we need a little help. So we might create a breath prayer, or choose a spiritual teacher, or do a visual illustration of the word, or write an acrostic poem, a playlist of word theme songs, right? Commit to a word-rooted practice, write a 7-word prayer, create a simple word-centered rule of life, practice Lectio Divina with Revelation. That's a text that I happen to especially love, that I think is very pertinent for what this practice is about. And then going forward into a new season, all the while honoring wherever you are and knowing that you can stop and pause, you can repeat practices, you could skip practices, right? It's about really listening and trusting yourself, learning to trust yourself and your own spirit and heart. So I can't go into detail in all of the practices right now, since we're just doing a kind of a brief introduction for you, but that gives you a sense of the journey that the book will take you on. So it's very much an experiential book, as you can see, and very much each of those little headings that I had has a little reflection on the practice, and then a an actual meditation that you can move into. Why 7 words? Because 7 is one of the sacred numbers in our tradition. And it doesn't have to be 7. It could be 5 or 8. You know, it's more like the compactness of it can help spark our inspiration. There's something about bringing our prayer down to its essence. And the 7 is more to lean into that sacred tradition of that sacred number. So we're going to move into a meditation in a moment, but Simon's going to sing for us again to help us transition from this explanation part to the more heart-opening part.
Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can feel all that I need to feel. Help me open my heart so I can feel all that I need to feel. Help me open my heart so I can feel all that I need to feel. Help me open my heart so I can know all that I need to know. Help me open my heart so I can know all that I need to know. Help me open my heart so I can know all that I need to know. Help me open my heart so I can heal all that I need to heal. Help me open my heart so I can heal all that I need to heal. Please help me open my heart so I can heal all that I need to heal.
Thank you, Simon. Such a perfect song to move us into our heart opening meditation. So I'm going to invite us to take a few moments to center ourselves. I'm going to lead you in a meditation for a few minutes here with just the focus of opening my heart to receive. And so invite you to deepen your breath if that's available to you. And imagine the spirit breathing through you in that gentle rhythm of inhale and exhale, letting the breath slow you down even more. And perhaps even more important than that, to move out of your mind, out of the thinking mind. The mind wants to grasp and make things happen, but invite you to let your breath draw your awareness from your mind down to your heart, which is what the mystics tell us is that organ of receptivity, the place in us that is designed for this intimate encounter with the divine, and the place that its natural language is receptivity. Its natural language is opening, surrendering, yielding, listening, attuning. So as you connect and draw your awareness down to your heart center, you might take a moment to put your hand on your heart if you'd like to make a physical connection for a moment, and connect to the rhythm of your heart. Just like the breath, the inhale and exhale, the heart has its own rhythm and pulse that we can connect to in a conscious way. Our breath and our heart pump and pulse and breathe, throughout the day to keep us alive. And then we can pause and slow down and simply receive the gift of these primal rhythms. And so opening to gratitude for the gift of your heart. And noticing what it is you're feeling right now. It could be that you're, feeling a little bit anxious, or perhaps there's something that's angering you, or maybe you feel excited or full of anticipation, or maybe there's grief rising for whatever reason. And I invite you to just notice these inner guests in the sanctuary of your heart, and to take a moment to simply say welcome, that you don't need to change anything about yourself in this practice. The invitation is always to just keep saying welcome, welcome. And even if there are multiple feelings that feel in conflict with one another, you can welcome them all in. You don't have to resolve anything right now. And let yourself rest into that knowing and that possibility that for a few moments, you don't have to make anything happen. How much we spend so much of our lives, our time trying to make things happen in the world, in our lives, really good things, many of them. But now is a time to set that all aside, to rest, and to welcome it all in. And then to become aware of the spark of the divine that dwells and shimmers in your heart. And so many of the mystics talk about this spark of God that dwells within each one of us. So that when I look within, or when I look to the stranger, if I see into the heart, all I see is that divine presence. And that spark of the divine is the source of this infinite compassion. And so I invite you to let yourself fill with that compassion, to bring compassion to how you're feeling right now, to bring compassion to any places that feel like hard edges. And just letting yourself soak for a moment in that well of compassion. And again, not needing to grasp or strive or reach, but simply allowing that compassion to flow through you, receiving it like the gift that it is, opening yourself to all of its wonders. And so on your inhale, letting that compassion fill you. And on the exhale, just seeing if you can gently let that compassion out into the world to connect with other hearts, other beating hearts, whether people or animal or mineral. And just rest into a rhythm of receiving that grace and that gift of compassion and letting it fill you to overflowing to where you exhale and it naturally flows back out into the world. Again, not through our own effort, but simply through the abundance of that love. And there is no effort needed here. You might imagine yourself like you're riding a wave of love, a wave of compassion that rises and falls like your breath. And then just coming back to center, back to your heart without necessarily calling anything in particular to mind, but just resting again for a moment in the heartbeat, the pulse of life within you. Resting again into the rhythm of the breath. And resting for a few moments in gratitude. That beautiful practice that honors that there is grace in everything, right? That we can receive a gift moment by moment if we simply open our hearts to receive. And so breathing into that sense of gratitude. And then just gently letting your breath carry you back to this room, just keeping a gentle thread connected to your heart. And I'm going to invite Simon to sing for us once again as a way to just frame this time of prayer and remind us of the gift of stillness as an invitation to be in that space of receiving.
This is from Psalm 46. I'm going to sing it with the word God the first time and then love the second time. And I know that you're all muted, but it is a call and response. So I'll sing a line and keep playing guitar, and you're welcome to sing my words back to me and see how we get on. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Be still and know that I am love. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be.
Thank you, Simon, for the gift of stillness. We're just going to take a couple of minutes just to rest into that space of stillness. Just noticing, what did you notice or discover in that meditation? Any images or symbols come up for you, or maybe even a word? Doesn't have to be the word, but maybe a word. And I invite you to put anything you want to share about that in the chat, and I'll read some of those out here in just a minute or two. Take a couple moments to breathe into the quiet. Looks like we have lots of images and words shared. I'll just read a few of them, and then we'll have them in our chat transcript for those who want to go back and just pray with all of these. Abundant overflow, play, restlessness, rest in and receive loving presence. Open my heart to receive flow of harmony, abundant gratitude, peace and acceptance, deep, deep love and peace, connect, peace, freedom to be silly. Such a gift to try not to make anything happen, trusting what was happening. The heart center to receive, peace, flow, compassion for how I'm feeling spiritually now. Sing. I just now realized I don't actually have to be still to be still and know. Each line, re-education worked on its own. floating on the sea of compassion, solace, sink into what came to me from Job. Indeed, God is in this place. Rest. I give my breath in gratitude. I surrender. I can do hard things through God and with God. Grace came to me. Peace to my authentic self. Anticipation. Take care and know that I am God. To bring compassion to my workplace. Chronic loss. The realization and invitation that I do not need to do anything, achieve anything at the moment. I notice I am enough. Ease and joy, anxiety dropped in now and then to say hi. Peace. Love these, my friends, so much. I feel like we've just written a beautiful little litany of surrender. So that's gorgeous. So I invite you, if you have any questions to ask me, we have just a couple of minutes for that, and I'm going to just share a couple of resources with you as well. Let me just, oops, pull that up here. You can enter any questions that you might have into the chat, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But I'm very excited to share that we have two wonderful pieces of bonus material, and these are free for you. You can share them with your friends. They're on our website, and Melinda will share those direct links with you when she sends out the link to the recording. The first is a set of reflection questions that goes with every single section and practice in the book. And those were created by Delaney Hart, who's one of our wonderful team members. And Delaney writes beautiful questions, so I'm sure you'll enjoy those and be enriched by those. And that's just an extra companion to guide you through the book if you want to do it that way. And this simply, if you love like a good question and you just want to sit with that each day. And then our own wonderful Melinda created a beautiful small group guide for you, for those of you who might want to work in with a small group and meet over maybe 4 weeks. There's some suggestions in there, including some beautiful prayers that Melinda wrote and some other resources that are in there. So it's a lovely little suggested guide for how you might work with the book in a small group. So it definitely lends itself to that. And so Melinda will send those links out to you, not to worry. And then the book can be ordered direct from Broadleaf Books, which is the publisher. I've published several books with Broadleaf now, and I'm delighted to be working with them again. But you might also support like bookshop.org. And then, of course, there's always Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Blackwell's is a good source in the UK and can also be ordered from your local bookseller. And then, in addition, keep in mind that we'll be doing an Advent and Christmas season retreat, November 30th to January 6th, where there will be the daily practice from the book, and I'll be recording the meditations for you. There'll be an opening live session with me, and I'll be joined by Richard Bruxford Colligan, who will provide the music for that. And then we also have a few additional practices from some of our guest teachers and some scripture reflections from my husband, John. So there's a number of rich resources there. And then, of course, there's a facilitated forum facilitated by Amber and Melissa, who many of you will know if you've been in our programs before. So that's another lovely way to move through that in community. We have a sliding scale payment, and if you need more of a scholarship, always get in touch with us because we have a philosophy of financial access. So we always want to make sure people are able to participate. And if you've participated in previous versions of this in the years past, the 30-day versions, then look for an email from Melinda with a little special discount for you. And Melinda will send you the links for those as well. So let me just go back here and see if there's any questions. Linda says, I usually find it easier to identify a word retrospectively, looking forward to the book to receive a word for what is to come. That's a lovely way to do it as well. I highly recommend creativity with all of this. Uh, Wonderful that you're all excited about the resources. I always thought find word was for January 1st. Can you comment on the timing? Yeah, Melinda has offered a good response here. The Give Me a Word retreat we've typically offered starting around Advent for the turn of the year, but as I mentioned earlier, you can do this practice any time of year, particularly at a threshold time, and that could be a turning point threshold of the seasonal thresholds or turning points, or it could be that you have a personal threshold that you're on. You're maybe went through a loss, or maybe you are discerning a move or a new job or something like that, or maybe you're going on pilgrimage. So there's all different kinds of ways that can prompt it. So even though we're launching this in September, a lot of people will do this practice as a New Year practice, as an alternative to resolutions, but it can be embraced at any time of year. Wonderful. Oh, good. Thank you. Douglas says for those in Canada, the book is available at Indigo Books. Thank you. We can't always keep track of all the places outside in other countries, so that's wonderful. Um, Beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for all of this. For the Advent program, are the recorded teachings different from past years? Thanks. I really enjoyed it last time. The recorded teachings are the same, although there's a few extra practices in the book that you will also have a recording of me leading. What will be new for those of you who took the program in the last 2 years when we were developing this content, there'll be the new hour-and-a-half introductory retreat, and there will be the facilitated forum, and then there'll be, like I said, just a few practices that are in the book that weren't in the retreats these past couple of years, and you'll have an audio recording for me. Simon says the calendar changing of the year feels like a very modern threshold to me, and this practice is ancient. Yes, that's very, very good point. Exactly. You could do this for Samhain, which is November 1st, which in the Celtic calendar is the beginning of the new year. You could do this for the start of Advent, which in the Christian calendar is the start of the new year. So there's all different kinds of ways to do this. Um, since this is a practice of receptivity, what are ways to keep receptive? I think mainly to keep trying to get out of our own way, to be alert to all the ways that we start to feel that striving, grasping energy. And that whole first section of the book actually has lots of very concrete suggestions for that. So I encourage you to take a look. Um, Question, could you please talk more about 7 words? Are they a phrase or separate words? It would be a prayer, so it would be one phrase is what I'm suggesting. So once you have your word, you could create a prayer that you can carry into your year with you that either incorporates the word or speaks to the words, meaning for you. So that's one way to do it. Beautiful. Yes. And music, of course, is a wonderful way to to receive. Singing creates receptivity because after you're done singing, there's a felt pause. That's beautiful, Simon. Thank you for that. Well, thank you, my friends. We have a closing song and a closing blessing for you. So I'm going to turn this back over to Simon.
Thanks for asking me to come and celebrate with you. So I'm going to bring in one of our heroes, Teresa of Avila, here with us. A couple of years ago, Christine and Betsy thought I should set the bookmark prayer into song. A very bold thing, and this is the melody that came along, and it's such a blessing and a blanket of comfort. So thank you for asking me to do that, Christine. Let nothing disturb you, Let nothing frighten you. Everything changes. I alone remain. Hold patience, for nothing is wasted. Presence in all things. I'm with you in all things. Let nothing disturb you. Let nothing frighten you. Everything changes. I alone remain. Hold patience, for nothing is wasted. Presence in all things. I'm with you in all things. Let nothing disturb you. Let nothing frighten you. Everything changes. I alone remain. Hold patience, for nothing is wasted. Presence in all things. I'm with you in all things. Let nothing disturb you. Let nothing frighten you. Everything changes. I alone remain. Hold patience, for nothing is wasted. Presence in all things. I'm with you in all things. One more time. Let nothing disturb you. Let nothing frighten you. Everything changes. I alone remain. Hold patience, for nothing is wasted. Presence in all things. I'm with you in all things. So let these words of Teresa of Avila minister to you.
Thank you, Simon. One of my favorite songs. I'm going to read us a closing blessing, and then Melinda will share the winners of the drawings. So this is a blessing from another book that I have coming out in January. I don't think it's quite up yet to order, but it's called A Book of Everyday Blessings, 100 Prayers for Dancing Monks, Artists, and Pilgrims. How perfect is that? And I chose it a blessing for going on retreat because I thought that, this entering this process is akin to going on a retreat in our everyday life. So, Holy One, I know what a gift this is to step away from the ordinary and listen for your voice thrumming in my heart. I follow in the paths of the mystics who knew time apart could open the heart in new ways. Bless this time of retreat. May it be a sacred pause to refresh and restore me and infuse me once again with your love. May I open my heart to holy surprise. May I laugh freely with delight. Let the silence be magnified. Let me see your shimmering presence in every drop of dew, in each breath. May every stone, leaf, and bird become a guide. Let me drink deeply from this well and carry wisdom back into the world like so much treasure. So, friends, thank you so much. Let me bring Melinda up here for the ever important prize drawing.
Thank you all for being here. So we have two winners. Jill Gordon, you have won a space in the upcoming Advent retreat, and Dan Gilliam, a copy of the book. So I will put my email address in the chat. It's dancingmonk@Abbey of the Arts. And if you will send me your information, we will get those out to you shortly. Thanks.
Thank you, Melinda. And wonderful for you all to see Melinda's lovely face, who works so much behind the scenes to help us create our beautiful programs. So huge thank you to Simon for being here with me. It was such a joy, as always, my friend, to
I
be with
wouldn't
you.
miss it. And excuse me for saying that you squeeze out books like puppies.
No,
I'm
do
just
you know,
amazed at your creativity. It's such
any
a blessing.
comparison to dogs would never be an insult
Ah,
to
yes.
me. So I thought that was absolutely adorable. Um, Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you, Melinda. Thank you, John, for supporting me as I write my books and as I edit my books and publish my books. And thank you especially to all of you. I'm so just feel incredibly blessed by this community, by your huge hearts, by your open and generous spirits. It's such a joy to be with you, and so worth taking a little break from my sabbatical to come out, peek out, and say, hello, would you like to buy my book? So, anyway, I wish you all lots of blessings. Hopefully, we'll see some of you at the retreat, and I just wish you lots of love and to go well.